What's going on, boys? We are on day number 13 of reading through the book of Isaiah. I hope that you guys are still enjoying this series as we continue to press forward in reading new stories every day. We are going to be hitting the 2-week mark tomorrow, so just a big thank you to everybody who has been kind of sticking around with these. So for today, we're going to be looking at the first part of the story, and it will actually continue on until tomorrow, so we're kind of going back to that process. But for today, we're going to be looking at, as it's titled in my Bible, is the prophecy against Babylon. Now, there's no official event that takes place here. This is really a vision that is kind of being displayed to Isaiah from the Lord, and this is kind of Isaiah kind of sharing, what he is seeing in this vision to the people. So this is a chapter that was a bit harder for me to kind of understand as far as, all these details that he's giving, but I'm going to try my best to, really break it down on what Isaiah is saying about the potential destruction against this major city of Babylon. So first, I want to take a look at verses 4 through 5, where Isaiah says, "Listen, a noise on the mountains, like that of a great multitude. Listen, an uproar among the kingdoms, like nations massing together. The Lord Almighty is mustering an army for war. They come from faraway lands, from the ends of the heavens, the Lord and the weapons of his wrath, to destroy the whole country." So the word that immediately popped up in my mind was warrior. And in this case, it's, these warriors that are coming from above, are coming to, destroy these nations with weapons from God's wrath. So, God is creating this army to come down, and in just a minute I'll read a verse that kind of explains, really what they're going to do. But they're coming from, it says faraway lands, but, some of us will look at it as, they're coming down from heaven, but a lot of people would look at it as they're coming down from the mountain, from Mount Zion. And people would think that they're coming from the temple and they're coming down to destroy these nations and really create this conflict and chaos with these nations who are full of sinners and who don't follow God's commands. So verse 9 really paints a picture of what that exactly will look like, what they'll do. It says, "See, the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day, with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it." So this day of the Lord is, when you hear it, it sounds like, it would be something great, it'd be something where we praise God, but really, in this case, it's going to be a day of just total, almost would consider it hell, and to an extent, because, this army is going to come down and wipe out these sinners, and it's going to be very fierce, and it says, it to be a cruel day, a very just dark day, cruel, with fierce and anger and just negativity, and to really just eliminate these individuals who are following these false prophets and idols. And one of the best things about that is that we have the opportunity to prevent something from like that happening, to where we prevent being totally separate and totally annihilated by this, by simply turning to God and simply repenting and turning back to God. And all we have to do is really just take a look at our life and be like, okay, well, is what I'm doing right now working out for me? Is what I am following, is it benefiting me? Is it helping me at all? Because if it's not, then maybe I should consider looking at something different. And really, sometimes that's all it takes. And we really have to just change around some of the choices we make and opportunities that we're missing out on. And we really have to just take those big steps of, sometimes risk, and just put our foot down. And this leads me to my last set of verses, which is verses 13 through 15, where Isaiah says, "Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will shake from its place at the wrath of the Lord Almighty, in the day of his burning anger, like a hunted gazelle, like sheep without a shepherd. They will all return to their own people. They will flee their native land. Whoever is captured will thrust through. All who are caught will fall by the sword." So again, this is a vision that Isaiah is getting from God directly. So when he says, I will make this from the heavens, this is this is what God is saying to Isaiah, and this is Isaiah sharing back. He's like, okay, I'm hearing this, and then I'm sharing it. So just kind of clarify there. So one of the quotes that I wrote down for this was to kind of really sum up what this means. It says, what once was will soon be gone. And immediately, even just thinking about it right now, a modern day kind of connection I can make to that is, think about something that you may have lost, whether it's a family member or, something that you do for your career, or maybe something that, you have in your house that you lost, or whatever it is. There's a famous saying that you really don't know how much you miss something until it's gone. How much you miss a specific person, or a specific, maybe it's a shirt that you used to have, or maybe it's something that you had in your garage, or whatever it is. So, people will be separated, and some will fall short to the sword. A lot of times, we think that, if we just go to church and, we, pray, because, pray over bad situations, that, means we get into heaven. Well, it's not really how it works. And it takes a long time for us to really kind of comprehend what it means to, really obey what God is telling us to do, and not just, try and satisfy Him. I've noticed that really in my life is I need to be praising God and not pleasing God. So a big difference, 2 P words. You need to be praising God, not pleasing God. And you look back to yesterday in chapter 12, we were looking at songs of praise, and it's a really good another way of signifying that. So I really think that, for us, when we are separated, it even says there, like a sheep without a shepherd. When we are separated, we don't know what to do, and that's a lot of us every day. Is we don't have that leader, we don't have that shepherd to show us the way and show us where we need to go. And that's why, we have God calling to us, like, hey, like, just allow yourself to be filled with the Holy Spirit, and you can be led, and you can see what is right and what is wrong. The whole point of, being a Christian isn't necessarily trying to say that, you know better than everybody else. It's you saying, hey, like, I see that the world has a lot of problems, and I don't want to just sit around and just let them continue to be the way they are. I want to, help people to answer those problems, and I want people to feel loved, and I want people to feel like they matter, because there's so many people that go around and think they don't matter, and it ends up putting them in really bad positions to where they hang out with the wrong crowd, and it sometimes even take their own life, and it's not good. And I don't want that for anybody. So if you ever have thoughts about that, I promise you there's a lot of more people that care about you than you think. So I promise you, include people in your life, and remember that all you have to do is turn to God. Don't be that, winding, or let's say winding, don't be that lost sheep that goes astray. And really quick, just to kind of add on to that, there's a story that Jesus shares in the New Testament about, the one sheep, if one sheep goes missing, and you have the 99 others, he says you'll go looking for that one sheep, because one sheep is more valuable. One sheep repenting is more valuable than 99 sinners. And it's true, because, you care about that. And if one goes missing, you're not just like, oh, well, it's just one, like it's not a big deal. No, you care for all. You care for all. It's the same thing with your family or for your dog. If you have a dog, if it runs away, you go looking for it. Or if you have a family member that goes missing, you look for them. You don't just let them go. Like, you want to continue to be there with them. You want to know what's going on. You want to help them, because you don't want them to be led astray. Because when we go on our own, we lose focus, and we lose track of time, and we lose track of where we are. And that ultimately leads us into some really dark areas, and that's not where we need to be. So that is today's word. I hope that this prevision that Isaiah is giving really helps you to understand that we don't have to deal with this negativity of the world. We don't have to deal with this, struggling of, I don't know what to do next. While being a Christian, you still do deal with, issues and stuff. You do understand that God is in control. God can deliver, and He will. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer than you want to. But when He does, you feel so great, and it's just an amazing feeling. And you start to see how things come together, and you start to replace bad habits with new good ones. And I really hope that treats you well. And I hope that you guys have a great remainder of your week. Peace out, boys.